Welcome back to Primal Gaming, and Thomas was alone. This is our new complete series. I've been wanting to play it for a long damn time. Very narrative driven story. So here we go.
Thomas was alone. Wow, a weird first thought to have. Thomas decided to start listing his observations for posterity. 1. The whole alone thing. 2. Portals. They led somewhere. He'd yet to work out where. 3. Falling. Thomas was absolutely fantastic at falling. He was almost as good at falling as he was at observing.
Go, Thomas.
Okay, interesting. Thomas couldn't fall past this block. Think, damn it, think. What if there was some kind of inverted fall? Some way to... what's the word? Jump.
Great light effects too.
A big jump. But Thomas noted...
Oops. It was talking.
This all seemed a little dangerous. The world was not to be trusted.
Whoa, Jesus.
Unstable, and it seemed to Thomas that it could let him down at any moment. He was starting to suspect it might even be doing so.
I want to avoid skipping any dialogue, which is
Thomas
annoying.
wondered whether the portals were actually taking him anywhere. He felt like he was making progress, but there wasn't really any way to know. He seemed to be moving predominantly up and to the right, which might, or might not, be important. It might have been paranoia again, but Thomas could have sworn the world was becoming more complicated. It always seemed to be one step ahead of his skills. It had been designed just for him. He wondered why. Was the world testing him? No, too obvious.
What the heck is that?
Something about the boiling, toxic, glowing water intimidated Thomas. He didn't like it. He certainly didn't want to swim in it. He made another mental note. 4. Water. Not good. To be avoided.
I don't actually know how I felt then. What was this?
The loneliness was getting to Thomas. No amount of observation or obsessive note-taking could combat that. Thomas had a new theory. The world was training him. He could feel himself getting smarter. There was the mental list to consider. Over the minutes and seconds since his spontaneous generation, he'd become a pretty skilled jumper. He was evolving. He just wished he had someone to share it with. took an immediate and deep dislike to the skinny red rectangle. Who the hell did this Thomas think he was? Chris had been doing fine. He wasn't the highest jumper, but he'd held his own. He'd even been graceful at times. Well, not actually. Not technically graceful, probably the wrong word, but you know, fine. There was that skinny little runt leaping about like he owned the place.
Personality of such cubes, of shapes.
Okay, this was more like it. A glowy white thing. Only Chris could get to it, which of course made it all the more enticing. What would it do? What new opportunity might this switch open up to him? Great, great. Another chance for Thomas to jump slightly higher than Chris. How fortunate. Seriously, this made the whole switch pressing thing entirely worthwhile. Was this good? Because on the surface, it did not seem good. Chris was pretty scared. Little Red seemed fine, happy to be on his merry little adventure. Chris couldn't shake the feeling that things had taken a significant turn for the worse since Thomas had joined him. Sure, he'd been able to piggyback his way to ever so slightly higher platforms, but where had that got him? Well, to ever so slightly higher platforms, which was sort of his point.
You make it over there.
Chris stared at Thomas with pure hatred. He seemed so very happy at their situation. Friends together, a brave fellowship of quadrilaterals on a quest for greatness. That would be fine. But it was all the obvious observation that Thomas was doing which grated. Every time they saw something vaguely new, Chris would hear a satisfied little from the vaulting idiot. He hoped the next portal would split them up, if only for a few levels.
That one's fast.
John knew. He knew that this was his chance. A moment to shine. This was game day.
Wait, what? Holy mackerel, that's a hell of a jump. How the heck am I gonna do that? Like that.
This would not do. John needed room to show off his exceptional skills. As it was, he was trapped on the wrong side of these little dot things. Where did they come from, anyway? John inhaled the air of the open space, and it smelled of awesome. Time to flex those muscles, to put his training to use. Time to show those little dots how it was done.
Yeah, I didn't think he was gonna make that. Can I? Can it swim? No, it cannot swim. Okay, what the hell? How do we get across here? Wait, switches? Oh, there was a switch, wasn't there? Do we?
John decided to press the switch to let the little dots catch up with him. John cared for his new allies. You could tell from the sympathetic expression he'd practiced in the mirror all these years. Blum. Blum. Question is Chris just a stereotype for short, angry people? And if he is that a problem? Nope. John was happy to keep helping. He felt it was important to his image that he was seen to help the little guys.
Still can't make it up. Mate. There you go. So close. Oh dear. Controls aren't as responsive as I would like.
He didn't mind them so much either. The red one, Thomas, had a charming way of applauding every time John jumped.
Okay, I think I'm gonna need that just in order to get Chris onto the block. I don't know if that's gonna be high enough. Yep. So close. Blum, blum, blum.
The angry orange one was less immediately likeable, but his unremitting cynicism and tutting amused John.
Oh. Quite sure, yeah. There we go. Good job, Chris. Good job, Thomas. Good job, John.
This was interesting. A floating target. This would require coordination, balance, and timing. John was sure the dots would be lost, but he was happy to guide them to triumph. Maybe that's what the dots were for. They were there to extend John's reach, to make his performance even more impressive. John liked the thought. He decided to keep them.
Boom. Boom. Ruh-roh.
So, this was how Claire would die. She knew it would happen eventually. She was rubbish at jumping, and she moved slowly. She felt a little like her continued existence was breaking some kind of natural order. The crumbling pillar was a dramatic death, she supposed. Wait, what? Claire couldn't shake the feeling that she was not, in fact, dead. It was at that moment that Claire realised she had superpowers.
Go Claire.
She'd need a cape. There was no getting around that. You couldn't be a superhero without a cape. Claire didn't want confusion.
What?
If you saw a cape, that made matters clear. You knew what you were dealing with. Claire was all about communication. And, you know, floating in water, which was her superpower.
How the hell is Claire gonna get across there? She can't get up. Oh dear. Ah, because Dodoy. Ah, there we go. Done. She may be super, but she still needs help from her friends. John thinks he's the hero of the story so far. Seems like a very John thing to think.
All right. Fear not, my skinny friends, for I am Claire, and I will save you. Claire needed to come up with a superhero name as soon as possible. Claire was rubbish.
No. Zoom zoom.
Claire arrived just in time, which was, of course, the perfect moment for superheroes to arrive.
Ooh, the water's getting higher.
As the water began to rise, Claire vowed to save this little rectangle in as many restarts as it took.
Jesus. Oh, it's really starting to pick up now because it's channeling. That's quite cool.
Claire wondered if Thomas would make a good sidekick. Or was she more the lone Avenger type? She'd like that. The sole hero in a world of rectangles and conveniently placed pools of toxic water.
Oh, she's going to be here too.
The others told Claire that staircases were a bit of a fixture here. Claire wondered why the world made it so difficult.
It's the world. stay there, Chris. Yeah. Oh,
Claire
4 people
probably
now.
needed a nemesis. A villain who would show their true colours at the worst possible moment, hurting all she held dear. Chris was the most obvious choice. He seemed stroppy enough, and his jump was so pathetic that it conveniently avoided Claire's insecurities. Yes, Chris. Diabolical Chris. The fiendish Christopher.
So charming. There we go.
Wait, where had Chris gone? Was he off somewhere? Plotting Claire's downfall? Claire was honest, and she had to be because she was a superhero.
Oops.
This was a troubling turn of events. Still, there were reasonably sized bodies of water to cross.
Oh shit. Sorry, Blue. Oh, she really gets dumped, doesn't she? She can hop. Boom. Zoom, zoom, zoom. Jeez, he's fast. Good heavens.
Moving platforms over water, eh? Claire's newly heightened senses told her that there were multiple paths across with various possible configurations of the little posse.
Ah, split. Make the entire jump and go. Thump.
They were doing really well. Claire hoped she could get them all across.
Oh no!
John was fully aware he could do this alone. Thomas hoped he'd never have to.
Oh god! Oh god! Oh god! Ah! Oh, John, you just wait there. Oh, you can wait there too. Oh, I don't like spikes. Oh, okay.
Claire
Do this one quickly.
was alone, which was odd, because she wasn't meant to be alone. She needed to be where there were rectangles to save. Being the only superhero in a given space kind of defeats the object.
Oh,
Spikes?
and there.
New.
This
Claire
is
avoided them.
quite
She
cool.
decided
I've enjoyed this.
They were most likely her
But
kryptonite.
we'll continue next
Rubbish
time.
red kryptonite,
So-
even proper radioactive green stuff.
Thanks for watching. Hope you enjoyed it. And as always, we'll see you next time. Bye for now.